Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. My name is Mikey, and today we're going to be talking over our video footage from episode 5 of our RimWorld Let's Play. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the audio live for this video. I had some audio disruption about halfway through, so I tried to go back and fix it, but there was no way I could save it. I sounded like a robot, but I since fixed the problem, so our next video should be clear. So instead, I decided instead of releasing this without audio, which I thought would be pretty lame, I'd at least do something and talk about a few different topics while we're watching the gameplay here. We got some fun things coming up in this episode. We got some, I think, some difficult tasks, but a big thing that was slowing us down is the muscle parasites at this game. You know, we keep switching between, Mikey and Blue and Lucy and Rubber. They keep getting them. And I've also been getting these a lot in my other Let's Play, or not a Let's Play, but my other playthrough that I just play for myself. And it's kind of difficult. I think it's a pretty overpowered mechanic, the muscle parasites. I believe for some reason, I'm getting them on all my worlds way too often. And so I'm trying to work around that, but it makes your people really tired. It makes them eat a lot of food, so your people spend a lot of time cooking, and your people spend a lot of time eating. And then on top of that, they get very tired, so they spend a lot of time sleeping. So you don't get a lot of work done, and especially when your main producers get it, it can be very difficult. You can see I'm hovering over the muscle parasites there and just talking about how it's a problem currently. But yeah, I think that's something that we could look for in the future RimWorld betas. Let me know what you think. I think for right now that the diseases are pretty, I think they're pretty overpowered, a few of them. And I wish there was ways that were a little bit better. I know we have the preventative, I think it's phencycline or something like that they call it in the game, where you can take it and it prevents you from getting a disease for a certain amount of time. But I wish there was something you could take when you get a disease that would get rid of it right away. I think that would be pretty valuable and just be a little easier of a way to deal with the problem of diseases. Because the problem is if you get, diseases between like gut worms or muscle parasites between multiple people in your group, then when you get raided, everybody has very bad manipulation. They can't shoot. They're tired. Some of them are lose consciousness and will get knocked out earlier if they're just in a little bit of pain. So it can really destroy a colony. So this episode, I was struggling with the muscle parasites, just trying to deal with them and trying to get by. But I think in the end that we're going to be able to handle it and it shouldn't be too big of a problem. So one thing I kind of wanted to take this opportunity to talk about was, since I'm not focused on the game, I can focus mostly on just talking with you guys, is about the intermediate stages of RimWorld. And although I'm not a seasoned veteran at RimWorld, I like to think I have been accumulating more and more experience, especially before I started making the videos. I was playing the game and focusing more on just getting better at the game. And I think the biggest thing that most people struggle with is the intermediate portion. When you're at the beginning of the game, you have very few technologies, and you can kind of, go through your chart in the bottom left and figure out what you need to build and what you can build. But as you get the option to discover more and more technologies, I think we all prioritize things a bit differently. And I think that causes some problems. I feel like some people get behind. Some people might know the efficient way to play. I don't know the efficient way to play. I've learned from other people through videos, and most of it's just trial and error. But I think that what I'm finding is that I am too slow to get my defenses up. And you can see that in this episode. I generally focus a lot on infrastructure. And, getting someone on the research bench full time and making sure I have a big enough freezer to store my food, all the very basic things, good furniture, maybe a few animals, comfortable bedrooms. But I kind of get in a rut in the mid game, and I think we're starting to see that here with this playthrough. So I think it's valuable that I'm taking this time to talk live to you guys about the current playthrough. And I think at some point you're going to hit a rut where you're comfortable. You have a good amount of resources. You're renewable. You got a couple animals. You have a few colonists. And although you have to be careful about adding more colonists because raid intensity increases with wealth and colonists themselves add, I believe, $3,500 worth of wealth to your raids. So you could have $3,500 or silver, the value of value in your colony that's not a person. But obviously people are very valuable. They get work done and they can defend. But the problem is that if you focus too much on this infrastructure and not enough on defenses, then you sort of get screwed and the infrastructure is for nothing. So that's something I'm going to be focusing on in the upcoming episodes is, I say that I'm going to build defenses, but I'm slow to do it. And a lot of that was because of the muscle parasites and the gut worms. But I think right now we can start focusing a little more on trying just to protect the colony. And I think the best way to do that, obviously, is if you're in a mountainous biome and you can get a little nook somewhere, even if it's not as perfect for expanding, you can mine it out a little bit and to build a kill box. And you can look up videos on how to build kill boxes, but basically you make them out of stone so they can't be burned down. Of course, sappers can still get through them. But kill boxes, you just funnel them into a certain area, you put turrets there, you line up all your people there, and you kind of mow them down. And that has worked the best for me by far. But as you can see in this run through, we didn't really have that option. We kind of just had to pick a spot. And I picked it by some fertile soil, and I picked it in a somewhat, I thought, defensible location. But really, like on the right side of my colony there, you see that little opening. I should be shutting that off. I should be closing that off and forcing them to come one of two ways unless they're sappers. And then I should be building sandbags, and I should be building turrets, and I should be building, focusing on maybe getting stone cutting and building kill boxes on both of those sides and getting a little more power. And the power would allow me to build switches to those turrets and turn them on when there's a raid. So I have, and I feel lucky that I've kind of diagnosed this flaw with my gameplay. And I think you should all take a look at your games, maybe record a little segment of it, or just get a feeling for how long you're spending in this kind of dawdling phase where you're still getting research and you're still obtaining wealth, but you're not matching that wealth with your defenses. And before you know it, you're going to get a raid that ends your colony. So for those of you that are new and trying to get better at RimWorld, I would say that's a big thing is when you're in the research tab and you can maybe get hospital beds, or you can maybe get things that would sound nice like geothermal power. Sometimes you need, in my opinion, to focus on getting to blowback operation and precision rifling and gun turrets. I haven't quite found the perfect balance yet, but the problem is I get these I research these technologies and then I don't end up using them until much, much later. And it's generally too late. And that's what ends most of my colonies, is what in this intermediate stage before you're even building your ship. Once you're building your ship, you've kind of already established that you can, defend your place pretty substantially. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about that down below. How do you balance your safety and defenses with your infrastructure? And do you kind of get in this intermediate zone lull? Do you kind of end up in this kind of dawdling phase where you're just kind of going day to day, taking care of handling the small raid here and there? Or are you proactively always spending a lot of time and resources trying to develop those defenses, setting traps, getting turrets, building sandbags, building kill boxes? Just let me know down below. And if you have any tips, or generally I try to, get people with the best weapon they can get and then build turrets. I never really messed around with mortars or anything too much, but I think that's something I'm going to have to end up doing. So as you can see here, this is a perfect example of it. We have a little raid coming in. Not a little raid, it's actually a pretty substantial raid. And we only have 2 people with melee weapons, and we have had a machining table this whole time. We have 2 people with melee weapons. I waited because I wanted to get them ARs, but I should have just built them survival rifles. We have a person with a charge rifle and a bolt action, and no sandbags, so they don't have any cover. And we have no defenses. If we could have forced these people around, we could have engaged at a much further distance, which would have been better because they have shotguns and grenades and melee weapons, whereas we have a charge rifle and a bolt. So if I could have funneled them south of my colony, I would have had a much longer range to damage them potentially kill a couple and make them flee before they even get to me. But instead, as you can see here, it's going to go much differently. So I'm going to try my best to hold it off, but this is unfortunately how a lot of my games end up, is I neglect the defense that needs to come along with the wealth. Like, we have a ton of food in the freezer. We don't have to worry about food. We have all this steel. We have a ton of silver. We got some glitter world medicine, all these hides that we're going to sell, but none of that does anything to the protection of your colony. And that's a bad habit that I got to get away from. So I wanted to make people aware of that. I think that that's a bad habit that most of us will have, is that our tendency is to lay back and to think that things are going to be okay, when really all of a sudden you could get hit. If they had one more person here, just a few better weapons, or a little bit better strategy, a little bit better RNG with their hits, they could have really done a lot more damage than they did. So you can see, starting off here, we did hit them with a couple good shots. A lot of the people are falling far behind, which made this raid lucky and a lot easier. But things get a little overwhelming right here when we can't take out Robbie. So I think I send Lucy and Rubber to attack them. I think I switch Mikey to shooting them. And as you can see, if I had a more coordinated effort with sandbags, this would be much easier. I think I'm going to take some collateral damage, so I realize that I got to switch to firing at those people. But you can just see it's a mess, and that's because I didn't make any move to defend anything. So I got lucky here. These two guys laid back, whereas if they would have attacked at the same time, they probably could have overwhelmed Rubber and Lucy. And, even right here, we do take some damage, I believe, on the Husky with a dropped grenade from the guy we just killed, or a thrown grenade from the guy we just killed. You can see it in the air right now, yeah, heading towards Mikey. And that could have easily blown off his leg. Could have blown off Blue's leg if I didn't catch it right away. And that could have been real bad. If she was right there, I could have had like a permanently injured colonist that would have needed a very expensive part to be able to continue. So yeah, like I said, give me some tips down below. I know some of you guys are probably more seasoned than I am and can give me some pointers on how to get that momentum shift back. I do very well in the early game, and I think I do pretty well in the late game, but getting over that middle game, knowing when to stop making your place fancier and to just focus on raw power and resources to protect you, I think that's something that could help all of us. So let's get that discussion going down below if there's a few veteran players out there. But other than that, we're just going to heal Mikey up. He was injured, and I believe the dog is severely injured. I thought the Husky was going to be permanently injured. It cracked its spine and blew something else up too. I think I'm going to click on him here. Yeah, we can look at the health. I think shattered his stomach or intestines and shattered his spine as well. So shredded his body, it said, and cracked his spine. So I was worried that he was going to be permanently injured. But I believe he heals back to full health, so I don't have to worry about that too much. But that's going to be my goal for the next episode, is to really crank up the amount of things I'm actually doing, really taking initiative and building a few walls, and then trying to funnel them into some kill boxes and make them out of stone. We have all that stone west of, on the left side of our encampment here. So yeah, I think that's going to be the goal. I'm really going to try to save this Let's Play. Right now, it's looking pretty good. Nothing's catastrophic. We got a few animals that we're training. We got plenty of food, plenty of medicine. Things are going pretty well. We got plenty of power, full power. We got a multi-analyzer that'll be built when we can get the plasteel and gold for it. So it's not in a bad situation. We're about to get precision rifling so we can get everybody on ARs. I'm going to show you a cool tip in the next episode that I've learned to train shooting. So that'll be good. We'll get shooting up, but I really need to step up the defense game. So for the first time, I'm going to make that a huge priority. And when I make that a huge priority, I think it'll help us win. And that's obviously the goal. Excuse me, I'm going to take a quick drink of water here. I've been talking a lot. So yeah, enough about that. like I said, I'm going to make a whole separate intermediate guide once I get my thoughts together. You know, my beginner's guide, the first video I put on this channel did extremely well. Had this like 600 and something views, which is crazy more than I thought, especially with how poor quality the audio was compared to now. So I did not expect that, and every day there's more views, whereas a lot of my videos aren't getting, you know, too much attention. But it seems like you guys are liking the Let's Play. It's having moderate attention and retention of watchers. So I'm just going to keep doing it. You know, like I said, this channel was, if you've read the about, it's to create diverse and frequent gaming content. And mostly it's just to document my, you know, my like little hobby here. So I don't, you know, I do play with some friends, but a lot of this stuff is just kind of the stuff that I video is mostly, or the stuff that I record is mostly just the stuff I do on my own, you know, an hour or two a day. So I'm hoping to get more of that out, and I was hoping that making this channel kind of made this hobby that I've lost interest in over the years a little more appealing to me and a little more fun. So, and it has, you know, it's kind of brought in a new life to the games that I enjoy, and kind of brought a new purpose to playing them so I could get better and, you know, potentially make a few videos. So I'm having fun, and I'm glad to see that people are subscribing. You know, it's crazy to see that I'm getting like a subscriber a day, and I know that's not a lot to a lot of people, but it is so cool seeing all the comments of people thanking me for the advice, saying that I helped them get into a game that they're enjoying now, or them just enjoying the content and seeing the improvement over the last few weeks, especially in the audio and just my comfort talking to you guys through the camera. But it's really cool seeing that notification saying that I got a subscriber, and to see that someone commented that they enjoyed it and that they're having fun with the videos. And that's all that really matters. I want to create a relaxing place here where we can just sit down. Maybe you're having lunch, maybe you're having dinner, or you're, you know, in between classes and you just want to watch some RimWorld and just have a community, hopefully a big enough community someday where we can interact and talk about different games that we enjoy and just have a good time, because that's what really it's all about. You know, we have so much bullshit that goes on with politics and school and work and money and relationships that we don't need to drag that in here. So we're not going to. I've kind of made that agreement to myself that we're just going to save this for fun and just kind of enjoy the games that we like to talk about. So yeah, I kind of wanted just to give a little update on why I'd never really made an introduction to the channel. I just jumped right in without explaining kind of what I'm trying to do here. But that's really what I'm trying to do, is to make videos that I enjoy making on games that I enjoy, to create a space where people can talk about these games in a relaxed and kind of healthy environment and just kind of enjoy each other. That's really all it's about, because we don't have time for all that garbage and nonsense in our lives and all the YouTube drama. And, you know, like a lot of people I looked up to that kind of think the same way is, for example, Lethal Frag. He makes FTL videos. He kind of got me into FTL. And if you haven't seen his videos, he's an awesome guy. You can just tell he's especially his newer stuff, he's just a very genuine guy, very nice, creates a really relaxing space. And I knew there were some times in the summer where I was stressed, and, you know, I'd get home from work and I would, you know, put on his live stream, and it's all just about relaxation on an FTL run, just having a good time. And I would sit down with some food and really enjoy watching that. So that kind of inspired me to take the healthy approach to YouTube. I know it's not as exciting, but I think just the more people we have in that, like, quote unquote relaxation community, or away from all the bull crap, is the better. So that's kind of why I'm doing it this way. That's why I'm not too graphic with what I say. I'm more just level-headed, and I don't cuss every 3 seconds. So I'm going to keep it that way unless I want to change. You know, I'm going to stay true to myself. But, you know, unless the content calls for it, I'm just going to continue to be pretty moderate here. So, yeah, I hope you guys appreciate that. I don't know. Let me know. But anyway, back to the game. You can see we're making some progress. I got super lucky in the northeast side of the map where we found that plasteel. And that's super huge, and I believe we have found some gold. I don't know if we did find some gold down to the southeast while I was talking about all that. And so together, I believe that's going to help us build our multi-analyzer, which increases our research speed on a high-tech research bench by, I think, 10%. And that also allows us to research some new technologies into shipbuilding basics and things like that. So I'm trying to balance right now. What I'm really trying to decide, obviously you can't hear me in game, but what I'm trying to decide is getting, how to balance rushing the shipbuilding basics and while also getting other technologies, because it does take a ton of resources to build the ship. It takes a metric crap ton of steel, and it takes a lot of components. It takes advanced components. It takes plasteel. It takes gold. It takes an AI persona core, which you can only get from exotic traders and from these like psychic drone ships that land that you have to kill, or else they make your people go absolutely nuts after a while. So trying to get all those materials together takes so much money and so much time. We don't have even nearly probably a tenth of what we need silver wise to get that, or wealth wise. So we're going to be doing a lot of mining of steel. We're going to have to buy a lot of plasteel or mine it. You don't need too much gold, but we're going to need a lot of components. Just a lot of things we're going to need. So I think if I remember correctly, I think someone gets shot here. This is why you need defenses, because it just turns into a crapshoot. Like, I think Lucy might get hit with a bullet here. Yeah, she gets rammed, but then I think she also gets hit by someone else. I don't know. We'll check in the health. Nope, she just got a crack from the ibex, so we got lucky. But that's why you build sandbags, and that's why you get them out quickly, so you can stand behind them, and it takes people time to climb over them, and it provides you with cover, and everybody can just stand in one place and not shoot each other. So I'm being foolish here by dragging out the defenses, and looking back at watching this, I just realized how just open we are for any attack that's substantial, especially when you get one person in the hospital like Lucy right now. If we got attacked right now, it would be a little difficult. And you're going to see we get extremely lucky here in the next few minutes if I think we are at the certain point of the episode where something cheeky does happen. But I believe we get very lucky here in the next few minutes. But yeah, so I'm going to try to balance the building defenses with starting to acquire resources for the ship, because if you rush the ship, I notice your wealth just skyrockets. You're just hoarding steel, hoarding plasteel, hoarding components. Like, your wealth shoots up astronomically. And if your defenses don't match it, then you just have a horrible time dealing with completely terrible raids that are just going to end you, especially since we have a wood camp, a wood base. I mean, they're just going to burn that down and blow it up and kill all our people. So, and we're on permadeath, so there's no save scamming. We're just going to lose. But I believe while these people are here, we're going to get a little visit from something we are definitely not equipped weapon-wise to handle. But luckily, they are. So, yeah, this might have saved the run-through right now if I don't get my crap together with the defenses. This saved the run-through by having this caravan here helping us, and you'll see that in just a bit. But like I said, the multi-analyzer goes right to shipbuilding basics, but we have to have that built before we can access it. But like, I've never used the shield belt or powered armor. Never really used multi-barrel weapons, which is not the LMG, but the minigun. And I don't really use charge rifles. I mainly just stick with ARs until endgame. I know charge rifles are a little better up close. But yeah, I think I'm trying to rush the ship too much in most of my games. And I build wealth too quickly without balancing that, and then I just get wiped out in one really bad raid. That's usually how my games end. So here we have a raid. You can see we got a mechanoid dropping in a scyther. They have a charge lance. And the charge lance has a lot of range. It's kind of like a little sniper rifle. Does a lot of damage. It really packs a punch. But I was crossing my fingers here that this scyther would get here while this caravan is still here. And we do totally luck out. We don't even engage it at first because they have everybody engage it for us. And although that makes them unhappy, I think you get a -5 if things happen while they're visiting you. I just can't beat the scyther right now. I would probably lose a colonist, I would think, because when that scyther hits, they're accurate, and when they hit you, they do a ton of damage. They can completely blow off body parts, and yeah, you can see it's just a mess. So I'm kind of avoiding it. I'm kind of letting them do my dirty work. Everybody runs away, but this warg, I think, is going to beat them up. I didn't know wargs were that powerful. I mean, the warg was just absolutely tearing it up. I usually don't like wargs because you have to you feed them corpses or meat. You can't make them kibble or anything. So you kind of just have to let them roam the map and kill whatever they want when you have them as pets. I was going to draft Mikey there to shoot, but the problem is if I hit one of their colonists or hit the warg, they would have started attacking me. And that is the last thing I want, is to, like, quote unquote, declare war with another tribe and to really piss them off. Look how much damage this warg has done to this scyther, and it's still going. They're so powerful, and that's what I was talking about, is when you get too high of wealth, you start getting 1, 2, 3 of these, and there he goes. He knocked him out. He killed him. So I think I recruit Mikey to go and finish off the scyther because I believe they'll get back up. But yeah, not a good time. We got super, super lucky that people were there to help us. But we're not going to be that lucky next time. Now that we know we're at the wealth level where we can get scythers and mechanoids coming in, we can't be risking that. So I really got to build turrets. The turrets are huge. In my opinion, turrets are like having another person with an AR standing right there. So if you can get a few turrets down, I mean, you can really up your defenses. And we're about to get precision rifling, I believe, so we'll have ARs for everybody. I think we're building them right now, actually. I think Lucy's building a couple ARs. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but once everybody's armed with them and we have some turrets, I think we'll be okay. Hopefully. I don't know. Like I said, I've never played on this difficult of a setting before. So I don't quite know what's in for me and how quickly things are going to scale. But we are in Cassandra Classic, not Phoebe Chillax, so we, who knows? We could, at least it's not Randy Random. At least we're not getting random terrible events in a row. But for right now, we'll just be lucky and thank the people from that tribe that colony that they were here. So yeah, I've kind of talked about where I'm going with this episode. I've talked about where I'm going with the channel. I've talked about our Let's Play and the weaknesses and adjusting the gameplay. And yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else I wanted to cover while we were playing this. I don't think there was anything external of the game that I wanted to cover other than just kind of talking about what I see. I know it's kind of a bummer that it's not live commentary. I know it's fun experiencing all the things that happen together. That's kind of the fun and the point of a Let's Play. But just for this one episode, I can't do that. Let's Plays are live, and if audio gets corrupted, I can't go back and magically fix it. So I figured rather than uploading it with no audio, I figured that would have pissed a lot of people off, and I wouldn't have been happy with it, that I'd at least just chit-chat with you guys while we're watching it, and we can kind of discuss where we are with it, and then get back to live commentary for next episode. So I figured it wouldn't be too big of a deal. We got lucky here, and we struck more plasteel than I thought. I thought there was just going to be a small vein, but we have a whole big vein here. And I think I remember this. I was raging at Lucy. I was just trying to get her to finish this mining because I wanted her to carry this plasteel back so in the morning we could build the multi-analyzer, because the quicker we can get that up, the better. So that's going to open up a few doors for us, and having that 10% research speed added, helps so much in the long run. It can save you several weeks in your Let's Play or your gameplay, and that's huge because that's several weeks that the game has to scale. So I always was trying to figure out how the game scaled. I figured that was the most important thing, was figuring out how your threats scale. And your threats really don't scale too much with time. They mostly scale around your wealth and the number of people. And the reason why it's the number of people is because the number of people increase your wealth substantially. So I think that's my biggest tip for people who are getting overwhelmed too quickly. You're probably building too big. You're building too fancy. You could be building a lot of art. You could be hoarding a lot of things that you're not needing. You could have come across a very expensive item that can be inflating your wealth. I know one thing that I had before was I found a way to kill some thrumbos. I would just shoot them. I would really lay into them hard and then run my people back inside. Be careful doing that because thrumbos are super fast. And then I'd have them repair the door and then run out, shoot it again, and then I'd leave it for the night and it would, bleed out. Even though they're super strong, it'd take like a ton of bullets. But I was on one of my very first playthroughs, I was doing that, and because I figured out I could do that cheeky little move. But I started doing that, and I had 3 or 4 or 5 thrombo horns, which are worth like 1,500 each. And I was getting pretty tough raids, and I lost. And once I realized the wealth mechanic is like $7,500 could have outfitted my people all with really good guns and a few turrets, and so they were just laying in my stockpile. They were just wealth that didn't add. So make sure you think about that when you're in the intermediate stages of the game. Look at your top left of your screen, whether you use that layout or the other layout, and look down the list and make sure that everything you have is worth it right now. Don't go out and just mine an absurd amount of steel just to have it sit there, because there's no point in that. Don't have 800 steel sitting there if you're not touching it early game. Don't go and have a ton of components. Don't go and hoard a bunch of silver. Try to use your silver to help scale your defenses. That's what I'm starting to find success in, or getting things you really need that will help you become stronger. Obviously you need to have your food and your meat, and then those hides like I have just from hunting various things you can sell for silver. But like I said, don't be hoarding things you really don't need that are worth a lot of money, like thrombo horns. Like sell those and use the silver for something that's useful. Or get an item that's going to help you, or a weapon or something. And I think if you kind of follow that basic rule, once you know that the game scales off of wealth, the difficulty or the raid intensity off of wealth, you can kind of be careful and plan your moves so you don't build this huge lavish place with no defenses and then you just get stomped. That's what was happening to me. I was viewing it more of a base builder than I was a colony survival sim. So find that balance, and I have not found that balance yet, but I hope to in the future, and I think we will, and maybe we've obviously learned that lesson here in this Let's Play on these harder difficulties. You have to ride that line even more. If you play on the earlier settings, like base builder or some difficulty, I really don't think you're going to struggle. Maybe if you just don't understand the mechanics of the game yet, you'll struggle. But if you watched my beginner's guide and have watched a few others play this game, you should really succeed on those lower difficulties. It's really when you start getting into these higher difficulties that you start noticing that the game kind of just starts scaling like crazy once you get into the higher wealths, and you can no longer just avoid defenses and scoot by, because that's when you lose. Because if we had a couple people sick, we just have nothing to fall back on. In the times I have found success and victory, I've usually had kill boxes. So right now, I think that's the best way to do it. But for, I just don't, I'm trying to devise how I'm going to do that on this map. I think I'm going to have to make 2 kill boxes, one in the top left, one in the bottom left. And then I'm going to have to just completely seal up that right side and hope for the best. So I think that's what I'm going to end up doing, and just hope I don't get too many sappers. But I think that's the move. It's going to probably take several episodes to complete that project, but it'll more so be a side project. We're going to have someone cutting a ton of stone to do that. It's going to add some value to the colony, which is going to make raids harder, but I think it'll outscale the raids. Like, the decision will be a net positive. So I think that's a valuable thing to do. So I believe, yeah, we have about 8 minutes left in the Let's Play for this episode. You can see we did get a few animals. We got the 2 alpacas, and we got the husky. I'm currently trying to train the alpacas to release, so we have, even though they can't do a ton of damage, at least we'll get free alpaca wool, which we can sell for some money. And we also just have 2 more animals to kind of meat shield for us. And that sounds terrible, but it's a lot better to have them injured than the colonists. And here I'm expanding the stockpile zone. We needed just a little more space to store everything. Pretty soon I'm going to remember to disassemble that mechanoid and get some plasteel out of it, get some components, get some steel, so that'll be good. Some more free stoof. And I believe we're going to also have a combat supplier swing by, if I remember correctly. We can sell off those frag grenades and some of those weapons. But it'd be really nice if I could find something useful for that silver. You know, generally what I do a lot of times is I kind of stock up on silver. And when I get to shipbuilding, I start dropping a ton of money on steel. Call a bulk goods trader and or hope one passes and just dump a ton of money into steel. Dump a substantial amount into plasteel. It's all really expensive, but we'll get there. One episode at a time. We're gonna just take it one episode at a time and think about our current problem, and then the next problem, and then the next problem. In here, I think I was talking about the efficiency of using certain animals for defense. You know, obviously an alpaca is not a very good defensive animal, but a big one for you new players is wild boars. They're pretty easy to tame, so they don't attack you like as much as trying to tame like an aggressive animal like a timber wolf you can see down there. They breed very quickly. There's generally several of them, so if you can get a few females, generally you want more females than one male because the male will impregnate all the females. So getting a few females and a male, they start populating quickly. You can butcher them, if they start getting out of hand, you can create a little pen so they don't make a mess of your place. And you can just feed them kibble, or you can just dump raw rice or, potatoes in there. Or you could just let them roam around. But then when you release them, they're pretty fast and they do a substantial amount of damage. I think their melee DPS is like 3.3 per second. So it's pretty strong and they're pretty fast. So they get to their targets quick and they do some good damage and they kind of just swarm them. So that's what I look for, is I look for fast animals. A lot of people like muffaloes and stuff for the packing for caravans. They do more damage and they're bigger. They have they have higher health. They can take more damage. But I just like having that mobile force where you can send 4 or 5 boars to just go attack. I had really good success on that with one of my playthroughs where I believe I had 7 or 8 boars, and that was the one I had the kill box on. So if they ever got past the kill box, which I believe they did once, some sappers broke in around the kill box. They were like my last ditch effort. I released them from the pen and they all just swarmed and did a ton of damage. Of course, a couple of them died and a few of them got bullet wounds, but you can heal those up with some herbal medicine. They'll just stay in their animal sleeping spots and they'll be healed as soon as possible. They might, lose something important, but you can just keep making more. And animals are more valuable than your colonists, obviously. So it's better to have them injured and hurt and out of commission than your colonists. So here with this stockpile, I decided to make the floor wood. I don't know why I did that. It's just increasing the wealth, but I figured we could use up some of the wood. You can see I'm chopping a ton of trees. That's because I want to clear this area to make it more defensible. You want your guys behind cover, like sandbags or rocks work well, or trees, but you don't want your enemy behind it. And right now there are a ton of trees leading up to the sandbags, and they'll take the best route possible, the AI. So a lot of them will hug these rock walls, the big mountain walls that you see on the large hills. They'll hug those until they're finally in sight. Or they'll take a line, behind rocks that are, rock chunks, and then they'll take routes behind trees, and they'll stop behind trees, and it just makes them real hard to shoot, especially if you have a couple people who aren't good at shooting. So you want your people. Oh, I think right now I'm starting to build a turret. But you want your people in the best cover possible. You want them in the dark, behind sandbags, and you want your other people just in no man's land. You want it to be wide open so your turrets can tear them apart and your bullets can tear them apart too. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. I'm going to build this top left one, this kill box, on kind of a diagonal. We're going to see how that works. But I'm not sure if I build these turrets. I'm not recalling correctly if I did or not, but we'll see. I'm not sure if I have the skill, the construction skill yet to build the turrets. It's been a thorn in our side this whole game, is we just haven't had the construction skill to do everything that we've wanted. So that has been a bother, but I'm sure we can resolve that. Like I said, like you can see in the bottom left, I'm spamming some beds just to get the construction up. So yeah. So we'll deconstruct all those and probably have to build some more, and slowly but surely Mikey's skill will improve, and we just got to deal with it. It's kind of been a bummer, you know, wasting some wood like that, but it's been a bummer, but we'll make it happen. We got all that steel mined out down there. That was super helpful, so Mikey can carry that back, and I think I'm going to send a few of them to haul that back. So once we have all that steel, we can start building some more of those, like I'm out of steel right now, so I can't build the sandbags, but we can build these power switches and the conduits and then the turrets and get those up and running. So make sure you're using switches when you're making turrets. A lot of people know this, but the new players might not. Turrets take a ton of power, even just sitting and just waiting. And what's really nice is turrets will kill mad animals, so at some point you can just flick them on and let them deal with mad animals, which is super helpful. You don't have to worry about your people getting rammed or anything. But yeah, make sure to switch them off, especially on a low power system like this. We only have 2 wind turbines and solar panel and a couple batteries. So you need a lot of power to keep a ton of turrets on. So make a switch, and when you have people... Ooh, Aaron... Yeah, we didn't end up taking Erin. She just had nothing good about her. But yeah, just make sure your people in the work tab are set to flick first, or you can make them go manually. Do it when there's a raid coming and go turn that side on. You know, maybe have one switch going to a few turrets, and then switch that switch, and the turrets will flick on and use that power for a short burst of time, and then you can shut them off, and so you can assure that the power in your colony stays good for your freezer to keep your food frozen and everything. So that's just a good little tip, so you don't have to make an absurd amount of solar panels or anything. So yeah, so thank you for listening to me ramble on about random topics. I hope you enjoyed it. We got about 30 seconds here left in the video, so I'm probably gonna cut it off here in a bit, but like I said, thank you for listening to me. I'm sorry for the mess up with the audio. There's nothing I can really do about that with a live Let's Play. I would have loved to be able to reshoot it, but that's just not the case. So yeah, like I said, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think down below about the different topics we talked about, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully we'll make some progress in episode 6. All right, guys, have a great day.